Brian Burns. Best player on the defense for the Carolina Panthers?
Second best?
Putting Derek Brown?
Yeah.
Okay. 2 years ago, best player on the Carolina defense.
Yeah.
One of the best players on the Carolina defense. For how much longer? Josina. I have no problem saying Triangle Rivalry Week. Josina Anderson, the name, is the part that gets me.
Her too.
Josina Anderson reporting that the Panthers have stopped long-term contract negotiations with Brian Burns. Stopped. We're not doing it anymore. We're done. Do you know what this is? You ready for this? Stopping negotiations. You know what it is? It's a negotiation. It's a negotiation move. I do my best to do this. I try to say it on air, but I even in like my own fandom, I do my best to remind myself of this. When you hear a leak, try to think of who the leak benefits. Mm-hmm. Try to keep track of it if you can. Josina Anderson is the one reporting this. She is also the one who reported the bit of news earlier this offseason that Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator for the Lions, was asking $15 million per year from some teams. Which then it pretty much, was revealed he's not asking every team. And then it became, at least from my tea leaf reading, he might have thrown that out there to just the Panthers. Those are both pieces of information that seem to put the Panthers and David Tepper in a position of, I'm not talking anymore, right? We're not meeting the requests of the player or the coach, and we want it publicly known. Maybe Josina Anderson has somebody inside the Panthers organization. Maybe. Again, we were just hypothesizing on who the source might be, but it feels very similar, right? Like part of their negotiation tactic is standing up and walking away from the table. That's what the Panthers do. Maybe there's a cold-blooded businessman negotiator running things, David Tepper, and his strategy is, like I've been told when you're buying a car, right? Sit down. If you don't like the numbers, do you know what you do? Start standing up and walking away.
Yep.
Put your hand on that door to leave the dealership and wait till you hear the salesman go, whoa, maybe we can do a little something else. Let me talk to my manager. If you still don't like it, get ready to leave. Walking away is seen as a good negotiation tactic. Unless, right? And by the way, that's what I think is happening here. I think the Panthers are saying, you're asking for too much, right? You're saying you're not worth $32 million a year or whatever Brian Burns is asking for. Your production hasn't been there. We don't need you that bad. We're walking away. Now, here's where that becomes a bad move by the person trying to buy the car or anyone in the negotiation, right? The agent or like anytime you're walking away, if it is a one-of-a-kind situation, you're going to have to nurture that relationship. Right? If you're trying to buy a Toyota, sure, walk away knowing you can go to another Toyota dealership, right? Walk away knowing you can go to the used car lot down the street. If you're trying to buy a one-of-a-kind Porsche 911 with a certain engine in there and certain kit attached, you can't exactly go, I'm going to walk away and find another one of these. So you have to decide what Brian Burns is. Is he a one-of-a-kind top-end edge rusher? Or is he someone that you feel you can go find for a cheaper price down the street? Because this is just a negotiation, right? Negotiations are on pause until they aren't. I guarantee you right now, if the Panthers, internally decided, hey, you know what, we will go up and pay a little bit more. They're going to make that offer to the Burns team, right? Hey, you know what? We will go another $1 million a year. They're not going to say, yeah, but negotiations are paused. We can't let them know about it. And if Burns decides like, hey, we've been demanding $30 million, I think I'll take 28, and he tells his agent's not going to go, well, they told us negotiations are on pause. So, they've blocked my number and I can't get in touch with them. Negotiations are only on pause until they aren't. And go ahead.
Say they're on pause until you come to our number.
Or closer to.
Yeah,
right? You can always
basically it.
Like, hey, I'll come down another $1 million. Well, we want you to come down 3. Okay, back on pause. Like that's what it is. By the way, they're gonna tag Burns. right? And once they franchise tag Burns, they can pick up negotiations at any point in time after that until, July 15th. Could it be a tag and trade? Could that be what this ends up with? Sure, possible. Does shutting down negotiations mean it is definitely a tag and trade? Absolutely not. Does it mean they aren't going to come up with a long-term deal? No. It means right now they aren't currently in a room on opposite sides of a conference table hammering out numbers. That's what negotiations on pause means. Mike Evans shut off negotiations with the Bucs last training camp. There was a day, right? If we don't have it done by the Monday before week 1, it's done. Our relationship is over. Then he went and had one of the best years of his career. He just signed for 2 years, $52 million. Or agreed to 2 years, $52 million. The fact of the matter is, leaking that the contracts negotiations are on hold is a very, very performative experience. Because what you could have done is just said, like, hey, let's take a couple days break. You don't have to let Josina Anderson know. You don't have to leak that information. You just say, like, hey, you know what? We've been staring at the same numbers for the last month, and we haven't made any progress. Let's all chill out, go see our families for a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know why. Get some brunch, reset things. Come back in a couple of days. We'll see if anybody had a change of heart. Why not do that? And they're like, okay, cool. Now all of a sudden, Josina Anderson's here and contracts are on pause. It's just very demonstrative, very performative, very much a negotiation.
I also wonder how much this is for Carolina going into free agency, which starts next week, by the way, which is just wild to think about. Is that, all right, they know that they're going to franchise tag Brian Burns for the time being until, that July date. All right, you go into free agency knowing exactly what your cap situation is going to be like. Knowing that, like, okay, $24 million is going to be dedicated to Brian Burns. I know we're going to get into it, but they're going to release Dante Jackson. So with the extra cap that we get from releasing Dante Jackson and after franchising Brian Burns, we're at roughly $17 million. Okay, what can we do with that and what other moves do we have to make? But at least we know, like, all right, we'll figure you out later. We got a lot of other stuff we got to take care of and focus our attention on right now.
It could very easily be that simple. Hey, Brian, we're gonna shut down these negotiations for a while because we're spending too much time on you, and we have an entire roster we have to get done. That borderline isn't even a negotiation. That's just a necessity of business. Like, I'm spending too much time on just marketing. I need to go work on production and sales, and I need to get together with accounting, and I need to do all of these things because I'm just spending too much time on you. It might be that simple. And then you leak, we're shutting down. It's all a negotiation. Everything is a negotiation. If you think they're any further or closer to a deal than they were 2 days ago, they just aren't. They just aren't. And I don't know if there's anything that could get them closer or further to a deal other than it was one of them losing the staring contest and coming to the number of the other. If not, we'll not only see this drag out into July, unless there's a blockbuster trade, there's a good chance we could see this drag out into next year, where Burns is not practicing, because we've seen that happen with players all across the league.